All right, the final match of the evening. What'd they call it? The Stadium Stampede or what? What was the name of the match?
I think that was it. I think.
It's the Inner Circle. It's Jericho and his minions, Ortiz, Santana, Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, against the executive vice presidents. The Road Warrior Buck, Balding Buck, Kenny Olivier, Hangman Page, and whichever personality Matt Hardy is occupying at this point in time, right? And I want to say one thing at the beginning of this. You made me promise two things. You made me promise that I wouldn't fast forward the first match or the last match. And that, I think, is why I hate you the most today, right now, because I couldn't fast forward this thing because I'd be breaking my goddamn promise to a friend. So I sat and I didn't watch it closely. And I took my new toe knife out and tried to dig some fucking crud out from under my toenails at one point, but I didn't fast forward it. But instead of Stadium Stampede, they should have called it Football Field Fuckery. That's what happens when you get 10 jack-offs that just want to have a giggle with their friends and go out and find a football field and play with each other and fucking goof off, and some idiot surreptitiously videotapes it and broadcasts it to the world. A football field fuckery, sort of like Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies. Saturday Night Live was getting ideas off of this. And you know what? Now that I've said that, these fucking twats are going to think that's a good thing. At least the fucking Olivier and the fucking young fucks, they're going to, that's a compliment. It's not. I promise you it's not. You couldn't imagine Kenny Olivier and Road Warrior and Balding Buck, the complete disdain I hold for you, personally and professionally. All right, so they're on the field. They've got pyro. They've got cheerleaders. They've got the football introductions. The Inner Circle's even wearing football outfits. The babyface team had some kind of, instead of doing everybody's entrance, they just did, the same music, and they played some kind of fucking douchebag entrance music. I don't know what it was, but it sounded like some kind of fucking 80s porn soundtrack. And then they just started fighting. They just started fighting around the fucking football field. There was a ring set up. They were in it for, well, as a matter of fact, that's in the middle of all this foolishness at the start. Jericho and Balding Buck were in the ring doing a drop-down leapfrog spot. And they pretty much, otherwise than that, nobody used the fucking ring. Adam Page comes out late. He didn't come out with the rest of the team. He comes out riding a horse and chasing Sammy Guevara out of the fucking stadium. If one thing on this show got over with me in the course of the night, it was Sammy Guevara's cardio. Otherwise, the whole thing was fucking hot garbage. It stinks like a man eating Fremunda cheese in a septic tank of a slaughterhouse. So they did a bunch of indie spots like they do in the ring in their backyard briefly at the start of this thing, and then they just all left it. I noticed again, the world's greatest wrestling artist, Kenny Olivier, is so fucking awkward and herky-jerky when he's not doing his dance routines. When he's not doing his fucking made-up wrestling moves and his snapdragon suplexes and his fucking petunia fucking double stomps or whatever, when he's trying to fight or he's just trying to move somebody from one place to the next because he's never been properly trained and he's not a natural worker to begin with, he's fucking awkward and herky-jerky. And shit like this brings that out. Then they had the segment where a bunch of people dove onto off of shit onto groups of people who were standing there specifically to catch them. Road Warrior Buck, Matt, who hurt himself diving off the goddamn stands on TV the other night, then backflipped off the goalpost onto some people that were standing there waiting for no reason other than to catch him. And then they all went up in the stands. Adam Page now is in the bowels of the building, so now they're trying to imitate the Money in a Bank match by having different fucking scenes in this, different locations in this thing. I almost wanted to apologize to Vince Russo for saying that he produced the worst wrestling that I've ever seen or heard of after seeing this fucking thing. Because, it was the worst aspects of Money in the Bank without the WWE production talent or budget. Paige is in the bowels of the building, still riding the horse, looking for fucking Sammy Guevara. But he's just trotting. He's not like running. He's just walking, ambling or whatever. And he sees the sign for the bar, so he gets off the horse and tells the horse to stay and goes to the bar in the middle of this fight. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Santana and Ortiz are beating up Olivier, and they powerbombed him through a barricade. And then Hardy saves him with Santana and Ortiz's slapjack, which must have a tennis ball in it because they repeatedly use it and nobody ever fucking suffers any ill effects from it. Then suddenly they came upon a swimming pool. They have a swimming pool at a football field? Why is this?
Well, a lot of stadiums now, because they want to get people with some money to come in and have a good time. You know, in Arizona, the Diamondbacks, their stadium, they have a swimming pool in the outfield. It's just, another thing.
What?
Yeah.
Who's going to go to swimming at a fucking football game?
There are some total douchebags who go to these sporting events and don't give a shit about the game. It's a social gathering for them.
Well, these two particular douchebags tried to drown Matt Hardy in a swimming pool. And besides, the fucking timing of attempting to drown a wrestler, which I am not even going to go into because other people can go into that and it won't sound like Cornette just hates everything. And they should be going into that. But what I was more offended by is that every time they dunk Matt Hardy in a swimming pool, he comes up as a different person dressed differently. And I'm supposed to fucking buy that. And at this point, and the announcers are calling it. And here is what I wrote. I promised Brian Last I would not fast forward this, so I didn't. However, I will never watch this fucking shit again. Fuck all you people. I'm ashamed of Matt Hardy. I'm ashamed of Tony Schiavone. I'm ashamed of Jim Ross for not walking out on this. I'm ashamed of everybody involved in it. And it's the last time I'll be watching this fucking horse shit. And Tony Khan can take his sports-based presentation and shove it up his fucking ass. David Schultz should be there to personally fucking slap the fucking teetotal shit out of every motherfucker that lowered himself to be involved in this. And it wasn't over. So then Matt Hardy took Pampiro Firpo Jr. to the big fucking Liberty Bell. There's a bell there, I don't know why. And he rang the bell on the guy's head and the guy went into convulsions. So then he duct taped him into a wheelchair. And then threw Santana into the ice machine. Did they ever explain how Santana got out of the ice machine? I never saw a shot of him getting out of the ice machine.
I don't recall a explanation.
So then, meanwhile, Jake Hager, one of the other blue chip players that they could have made something out of until they made him a goofy, phony, fake fighter and one of the boys that just stands around with a stupid look on his face all the time and forever gets goddamn embarrassed. Hager goes looking for Paige and sees the horse and sees the sign for the bar. So he goes to the bar, they sit down, they have a fucking drink with each other, and then suddenly get in a big schmoz. And Paige does a backflip off of a bar and a crossbody off a pool table. And that's where I wrote, these guys are taking big chances of getting hurt just to make the wrestling business look stupid and phony and fucking give a fucking billionaire's little fucking spoiled kid a giggle. So then Olivier shows up and he and Paige break 5 liquor bottles over Jake Hager's head. And he never goes down. And they were fake bottles. And then Olivier gives Jake Hager his little fucking sissy leaping fucking knee and he didn't go down. So then Olivier bends over and Paige does the fucking vault over him and gives Hager the buckshot lariat over the bar. Then, when the dangerous MMA fighter has been left behind the bar like a sack of shit, Paige and Olivier have a drink with each other. However, Paige has a shot and Olivier has a glass of milk to make sure that we know that Kenny Olivier is the biggest nerd fucking pussy on the face of the planet Earth. In real life, as well as on his television program, where he's supposed to be a fucking superstar. Then they did a spot where Sammy Guevara and Road Warrior Buck did endless gymnastics on the fucking football field. And when they got to the end of it, the referee threw a flag on Road Warrior Buck for excessive celebration, and he super kicked the referee just to make sure we've gone 3 minutes or so. Somebody might be trying to take this seriously again. Let's make sure they don't. Jericho's over yelling at Balding Buck on a megaphone, so Balding Buck pelted him with footballs. Jericho hit his finish, Judas elbow, on the mascot of the football team. And then Chris Jericho, former WWE champion, biggest star in this company, used a baseball bat on Balding Buck and got a 2 count. So Chris Jericho can't beat a fucking guy that looks like a junior high school fucking gymnast with a baseball bat. But then he challenged the referee's call, and is this a thing they do in football now? That he and the referee, Aubrey, who now has completely no credibility whatsoever and is just as meaningless as the rest of them, they went into a tent to talk about it? This is what they do in football now?
I don't really watch football much.
I don't
tell you. Baseball's where it's at.
Well, I don't want to watch anything related to anything that happens on a football field. If there's porn shot on a football field, I don't want to see fucking on a football field anymore. I don't want to see anything that takes place on a football field after this fucking match. So then Balding Buck went all the way to the top of the stadium and ran down the stairs for no reason, like he's getting up a big head of steam, but he's running down stadium stairs. He can't get out of control. He can't go full speed. And then when he gets to the bottom of the stairs, he stops and jumps up on the rail and then jumped off and splashed Jericho through a table. So the running was just for nothing because he's an idiot. And then as Jericho is laying there, Adam Page ran the line marker over him, straight up the middle of him from his crotch over his face. Chris, it's been nice knowing you, but fuck you too. What the fuck? Can you not exercise any goddamn control over these fucking idiots, or do you just not care? Are you just taking this fucking goof's money and you want to be a rock star so you don't care about the wrestling business anymore? It's gone. There's no reason to fucking try anymore. Is that what it is?
He wants to fit in with them. That's what it is.
Well, I'm sick of everybody wanting to fit in, because you know what you do when you fit in? You become one of the fucking crowd. Nobody gives a shit about you. But I never want to see any of these people ever again, personally or professionally. This reminds me of when I fucking said good things about Mance Warner in MLW. Yeah, he could talk, and he had a different kind of gimmick, and he stood out. And then I see him on the internet having a match with the Invisible Man. And I went up to him at the Charlotte Fan Fest. I said, "Oh, the Invisible Man returns." I said, "What the fuck are you doing?" Well, I said, "No, you have talent. You didn't need to do that. Now I cannot defend you. I cannot say anything good about you ever again. Not that you care, maybe. I don't care whether you care. But still, I told him he's a fucking moron for doing that. They're all fucking morons for doing this. I'm disappointed in all of them. I don't want to see him personally again because I'd have to tell him. I don't want to see him professionally again because I don't want to see anybody involved in this ever again." And then Guevara was laying on the sprinklers when they came on, so that woke him up. And they chase him in a golf cart into the stands. And finally, Kenny Olivier gave Sammy Guevara his one-winged fairy move off the stands. It's the one-winged Tinkerbell, folks. Off the stands onto what appeared to me, unless I'm missing something again, Brian, what appeared to me to be an airbag crash pad that they didn't even try to disguise that they landed on, and the announcers had to go, "Oh my God, look at the height." Yeah, and they landed in fucking an airbag. Was that what I was looking at?
Yes, they didn't try to hide it.
And 1, 2, 3. Fuck all of you. Fuck you if you've been my friend. Fuck you if you've been my enemy. There are some things that you have to take a stand on and that are more important than goddamn taking a paycheck. That anybody involved in this did not walk out. I'm talking about the announcers. I'm talking about the referees. I'm talking about the participants. I'm talking about the camera crew. For fuck's sake, why didn't one of the fucking technical people in the truck say, we're not going to fucking shoot this for all of y'all's sake? If this is what wrestling is now, it needs to die. Leave it alone and let it go. If you can't bring it back and you're just going to fucking piss on the fucking rotting corpse, let it go. Find something else to do with your fucking lives, like I have. Because I'm too embarrassed to be involved with these people or this industry because of shit like this. I just slapped my own self in the face. And I did it again.
You don't have to do that, Jim.
I'm going to beat my own self up. Fucking assholes. So, you can't... I'm not going to tear this. I'm going to set fire to it. Can you hear flames over the microphone?
We can't. Just hold on to that. Maybe we can find something productive to do with your notes.
No, I'm setting fire to this shit. I'm set right here in the goddamn floor of the office.
No, don't do it in your office.
Okay, where is a god? I need some.
There's so much stuff in there we can't have burned. Don't do it there.
I'm going to burn it.
Will you stop?
I'm rubbing 2 fucking Sharpies together on this thing.
Well, that's not going to do it. I don't think that's going to do it.
All right. You know what you need, don't you? Well, do you have any final thoughts about the stadium extravaganza?
Well, you certainly captured a lot of thoughts in your review. I'll say that I thought it was one of the biggest pieces of garbage I've ever seen on a professional wrestling broadcast. Although, again, this is sports entertainment, not professional wrestling. This is not sports-based wrestling.
This isn't sports entertainment because there would have to be sports and there would have to be entertainment.
You know what? This is sports entertainment the same way Vince does it. These guys, it's another version of Vince McMahon's style of wrestling. And I think you didn't hit the commentators as hard as I would have hit them because they're just laughing.
What, saying fuck y'all, you should have walked out is not hitting them hard enough?
The whole show, just they're shucking it up and having a great time, laughing about things with each other. Jim Ross is completely checked out. Well, why wouldn't you? And, you know, Tony was away from the business for 20 years. So I was figuring I was giving him a pass when he would laugh and go, wow, this is great. Because I was thinking, well, he actually thinks this is great because he doesn't know what's changed or what's gone on. And he thinks now this is acceptable because he was away for a while. But nobody that was ever a wrestling fan or cared about the business could think any of this was acceptable. And he's still going, wow, it's great. So he's just taking the fucking check. And let's face it, you know Jim Ross knows. I haven't talked to him after this, probably won't talk to him for a while after this. But he knows this is garbage. Well, he's not going to say anything until after he stops getting paid by Tony Khan. We know how this works. Well, you know what? And there's 2 ways to look at this. He's signed to do a job, so he's going to do the fucking job, and he's not going to fucking come out and just bury the shit on the air. There's that. That's being professional. Or there's being professional enough to go, you know what? I'm not going to ruin my goddamn legacy and my standing as the greatest announcer of the modern era by being remembered for calling this fucking horse drivel. And he should go home and fucking apply his many talents to doing his own thing instead of fucking letting these people drag him into the goddamn cesspool. Fuck. You know, so much of the reaction on social media that I saw was extremely positive. People loving this match, people saying that it was nice to be able to have some fun and just laugh. And I think there's the big divide, is that there are a lot of fans who just want to get into the personalities of the wrestlers and then see them do wacky things in a match or in a spectacle like this. That's what we've got left because all the other ones are gone. They've run them off with all the wacky shit. no one ever just turns away from wrestling. I truly believe, so many of the listeners I have on 605, so many of the Cornette listeners are people who don't watch wrestling anymore, but they still want to hear wrestling talk. They still want to follow the business. They just don't want to watch the business.
Well, and they watch YouTube, and they buy the old DVDs, and they watch the good stuff. And, why couldn't they give them some more of the good stuff that they have to pay more money for that's brand new that they haven't seen? Because they can't, because you have people like this that think that this is what people want to fucking see and are blinded by the fact there's a fucking audience for anything, as we've mentioned. People will watch tapes of people's balls being nailed to a step stool. But there were so many millions more when we were serious about this shit and everybody didn't know what the fuck was going on or know how or whatever, and we acted like we cared. Now nobody acts like they care. They just jack off, and it's become a goddamn comedy show to be watched like America's Funniest Videos or Tosh.0. Oh, look, they're going to do something else stupid. Fuck.
Like I said earlier, AEW's numbers are not that much greater than where ours are right now. There's a big audience that doesn't want this. There's a big audience that wants something different. There are people who watch that show just to hear you tear it down.
Are you trying? Well, that's why, and that's the only reason I'm doing this. Believe me, and this will be the last time I do this fucking thing. After this, I don't want to ever see any of these people again. But I only did it because everybody wants me to fucking do it because I speak for them and how insulted they are and how fucking offended they are as wrestling fans by this shit. But for fuck's sake, just have some pride, people. Just turn around and walk away rather than being remembered like this. I'm not talking about the Bucks and Olivier and those fucks. This is the only way they'll ever be known. I'm talking about the people who have actually had success in wrestling and are ruining their fucking legacies with this goddamn being a part of this.
But let me correct you. The Bucks and Omega have had success in wrestling. A success with their style of entertainment like this. The problem is guys like Jericho want to do that because they want to fit in with a younger audience than try to go the other way, which is, let me teach you guys some of the things you're not doing. Again, these are the guys that reject any older voice that tells them anything. They think they're the only ones who know anything. They're going to reject any principles the industry ever had and just do their own thing and lots of high spots and stand around and catch me and all this shit. The problem is you have a lot of people that are saying, hey, let's try to fit in with them and their crowd, as opposed to let's try to elevate things. Let's try to build a crowd that's bigger than this. And I thought this whole event was embarrassing.
Just real quick, by the way, it's not a question of wanting to fit in with the younger people. It's wanting to fit in with the stupid people. Age has nothing to do. I talk to 20-something-year-old people or hear from 20-something-year-old people on Twitter or on emails all the time and say, this is fucking stupid. Why can't they be serious?
Well, when I said younger people, I'm specifically saying someone, let's say, who's in their mid-40s, early 50s, who sees something happening with younger people in the business, like the Bucks and Omega, and think, you know what, I want to find a way to get with that. I think that's what's happening right now. I thought this was an embarrassment. I thought the whole event was bad. I heard people said it was one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time, and there's the divide. There's the fucking divide. There are people who think this is okay. There are people who, if this exact spectacle had been on a WWE show, would have shit on it. But for lack of a better term, and excuse me, pardon the pun, whatever you want to say here, there's a cult of personality around the Young Bucks and Omega and AEW so that they have a free pass for anything they do. But if the same thing was done by WWE or Vince McMahon, it would be shit on, rightfully so. You know, I killed Money in the Bank. I kill this. Awful. I think Tony Khan, you know, one of the big problems at AEW is there's no leadership. You have a guy that wants to drink with the wrestlers and hang out with the wrestlers. He may not be as pathetic as Gordon Scazzari ended up being. He may not be completely clueless like Dixie Carter was. But it's the same.
He may not end up with coke and hookers like Herb Abrams did.
No.
But it's the same
and
thing.
He has unlimited capital, but he doesn't know any better. He doesn't know any better. I don't want to hear any more that, oh, he loves Mid-South Wrestling, or, oh, he used to collect Memphis wrestling tapes.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
He doesn't know any better.
So after this whole thing, you know what? I had such a throbbing, massive headache. I decided to take some of my Omax Cryo-Freeze CBD pain relief roll-on and rub it all over my fucking head. And it did make my head feel better. I still couldn't forget the anguished memories of this horrible affliction that I just watched, but my head did feel better.